This podcast replay is brought to you by Moodius Dental. They offer same-day dentistry with the latest CEREC technology. Take advantage of your insurance benefits for 2019 before the year runs out and they're all gone. Call 305-821-0231 or moodiusdental.com.
A little football. We're going to talk a little Dolphins. We promised you, of course. And Howard Cross, who played the game at a very high level for the New York Giants for many years. You can follow him on Twitter at HowardCross87. He is kind enough now to join us on the program to talk a little Giants. Howard, good afternoon, my man. Thank you for joining us once again.
Hey, guys. How we doing?
We are doing great, my man. I cannot complain. So, Howard, as a Giants fan, how completely off was this season from what you expected?
No, I don't think it was that bad. I thought that after you draft a quarterback that high in the draft that you'd be fighting for tooth and nail to try to get the guy into the game. I think that, in the grand scheme of things in life, you're trying to constantly make sure that you have the best leverage you possibly can. So putting your rookie quarterback in and saying, like, hey, look, I put the rookie in and this is what we got, kind of works out in your favor if you're a head coach. I thought that we needed some players, and we just didn't have them. And on top of that, Saquon getting banged up, you get what you get.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Are you buying Daniel Jones? Do you think he is the real deal and can develop into a franchise quarterback?
I think he's going to be a very good quarterback. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a Giants guy. I'm saying it because the way he's able to distribute the ball when he has time, the way he can actually run. I think the more familiar he gets with whatever offense that he's running going forward, if it's the same one, if it's a new one, I think that he's going to, he's a disciple of Coach Cut down in Duke. It's the same as Peyton and Eli. I think he's the right guy.
Okay. No, listen, I've had you on before, and obviously, as a former player, people will look at you and say, well, the former players will always be homers and they'll never be objective, but they haven't heard you in the past, so they don't know that when you don't like something, you'll say it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, you'll call it like it is.
So it's only my name and my word, so I kind of have to stay true to what it is.
No, I'm with you, Howard, as always. Howard Cross joining us here on the program. And so you think Gettleman is the right guy? Because I thought he actually did a decent job over in Carolina. We just got to give him some time here before we assess what he is here.
Well, I think what happens this day and age is that we're I don't want to say internet because it makes me sound old, but the Twitter, the whatever form that you're hitting on, that we want instant success, and we give a lot of people voices that don't necessarily know all the time, but they do have a large following, and when those large followings get together, they become the overwhelming voice of what people believe is the right or wrong thing that's going on. I think that it takes time. Whether Gettleman was right or wrong, it just takes time. I think it takes time to build a team. It's kind of like a college coach, and having the right to have your class go through and graduate. If you get all your recruits in, if your recruits can win a championship or be competitive, then they know what you got. But if you hire a coach and then he gets like 2 years, he doesn't have any recruits in-house that can play yet. So you don't know if he's going to be the guy or he's not the guy.
All right, so Howard, what do you think about Pat Shurmur? Because that dude does not convince me that he's the right guy as a head coach. I actually like Mike Shula as the offensive coordinator, and obviously being down here in Miami, we kind of know of Mike Shula a lot, and I've always thought that Mike is a good coordinator, not a guy that I would put as a head coach. To me, Pat looks to me like a coordinator that is in the wrong position. So what do you think about Pat Shurmur?
Well, I'll just use what Pat's working with. Pat's working with, unfortunately, a losing record as a head coach. That hurts in the grand scheme of things, and I don't know if the quote-unquote media at large is going to take that as a good thing or a bad thing. He's also a person who probably needs some etiquette classes when it comes down to dealing with media. And I think that he's right with pretty much 95% of everything he says. He just doesn't deliver it in the softest way. And I think that hurts him in this market because in the New York market, the media and everybody here thinks that they're right.
Yeah.
So if you're saying anything to the contrary, then you're an idiot. And how could you say something like that? And how dare you? And you have to deal with that. And that's a tough thing for a coach to deal with, especially when he knows that most of the people that are talking mostly out of opinion, and as we call it, gas bagging it. I think that's what my guy says down in Miami. You're gas bagging it, and a lot of the gas bags, if you're in the right market, they run the process.
Right, and so but Howard, listen, you've been at it for a long time. You were a player at a high level. You know what it's like to have a great coach in a locker room. That's half the game, isn't it? Is being an incredible communicator, knowing how to handle the guy that carries a lot of baggage, or handle the guy that's a great work ethic guy, or handle the media or whatever. That's kind of half the battle of the coach, anyways, as it is. If you don't have that magic to be able to do that, and I don't know if Shurmur has that. I don't know if he can be that guy because it doesn't look like he's charismatic enough.
And for years, I've discounted the whole New York media thing because I thought it was like a joke, but it's not a joke. It's a real thing, and I kind of feel bad for him because dealing with people who consider themselves authorities is kind of hard, even though they have no concept 95% of the time. But their opinion holds a lot. And I won't name any guys because it's not fair, but there were guys that have, like I said, huge followings that people are listening to on a day-to-day basis, and they're screaming and yelling and saying whatever they want to say, or they're writing it in articles, and you're sitting there looking at them going like, he wouldn't know an out from an in, or she wouldn't know, or whatever. But it doesn't matter because people are listening to them, and people like them, and if their personalities are the dominant personalities, you kind of have to figure out how to blend and work with them. And it's not the same as it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. The social media has given these guys a huger platform, and they kind of dominate over what you're doing. So you have, instead of having 4 years to build a program, you have 4 games to figure out if you can do it.
and you know what? I'm glad that you've brought up the New York thing because it's something that I bring up too because I've been at this for 30 years, and I always say it. And a lot of us that kind of know about this business, just because you can play in Miami or Milwaukee doesn't mean you can play in New York. It's just a whole different monster, whether you're a coach or a player in that city with that media market. Because in Milwaukee, after the game, you're going to have 5 or 6 guys around you. In New York, it's going to be 55 people with mics in your face. And it's so damn competitive that everybody's, racing to get the most difficult and uncomfortable question in your face.
That is exactly it. It is a group of people where if you're in Minnesota, if you're in Green Bay, if you're in Tampa, wherever you are, that there's a good group of people who are around you who are happy to have their jobs, and they want to ask you questions, and they want to have access to you.
Right.
So they ask questions and they keep it moving. If there's something going wrong, they might ask about it. They're not going to beat on it.
Right.
In New York, when there's like 50 guys standing in front of you, all the guys are trying to get, I guess, the new term is the hot take, and they're trying to create the hot take and get something to talk about. They got to figure out every angle to pull from whatever you said, whatever you've done, whatever, facial expression you have. So that's what you're dealing with, and people don't realize that. And to be like a Jeter or a Belichick or whatever and just have no expression and get blah answers may seem funny, but it's the only thing you can do to defend yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's a hell of a challenge for anybody that's in that market. And how did you feel about Odell Beckham? Because there's always that dynamic, Howard, and you played the game and covering it for the last 30 years. I've learned that they will tolerate you as long as the talent outweighs the baggage. But then once the baggage outweighs the talent, that's when obviously you become dispensable and they will get rid of you. Not that the baggage maybe ever outweighed the talent because Odell has a ton of talent, but there's always that dynamic of, is it worth having the incredibly talented player who's also an incredibly petulant child, too, at the same time? So how did you look at that whole Odell situation in New York, and how are you viewing it now in Cleveland when you're hearing that already there's buzz that he's asking Jimmy Garoppolo, hey, trade for me, get me out of here?
I will say it, the simplest way to look at it is this. Like, Eli Manning's playing quarterback. Odell Beckham is being talked about as probably one of the 3 greatest receivers in the history of the game on the pace that he's on. Right?
Right.
And that's true. He's one of the most competitive, one of the most electric, one of the most fiery guys you've ever seen.
Yep.
Now, whether he campaigned to leave, whether they didn't like his personality, whether they were trying to trade to get more, draft stock, to get whatever the case, he leaves. He goes to a quarterback who's one of the most sought after, biggest personalities in the league. Well, that guy doesn't have the same, I want to say, cachet maybe as Eli. He's not the same. I've heard about accuracy. I've heard of all these different things. Odell's not the most prolific receiver in the league anymore. He's not in the top 5. He's not in the top 10. He's not in the top 20.
Right.
It's who's delivering the ball, whatever the situation. Maybe there are more mouths to feed. I don't know what it is. But all of a sudden, Odell just made Eli look like a great quarterback.
Right.
Right?
Right.
He did. Because he went from being prolific to being he had 5 catches today.
Right.
It's just a big difference. And you can't explain that. It's just no real solid answer, and no disrespect to Odell, no disrespect to Eli, no disrespect to Baker or anyone. It's just circumstances lead to whatever circumstances are. The kid wanted to win. He wanted to have a chance to win. He wanted to be great. He fought. He had the passion, the excitement for it. And he goes to another team. You're like, holy smokes, how good did I have it?
Right. Yeah.
And that's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah, no, it reminds me of T.O. going from one team to another and being the gypsy of the NFL. And yeah, you're piling up all the stats, but, dude, you're never happy. Wherever you're at, you're just never happy. You're never content. Right. And
the difference between T.O. and Odell is that T.O. was piling up stats. Odell's in the spot where he can't.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, but and I think are the similarities that they refuse to accept the team game. Is there anything to that? Is there?
No, he's not that guy. Neither guy was.
Right.
Both guys were extremely competitive. That's a narrative that people want to create because, like, oh, well, he's talking too much. You need to shut up and just play the game. It's a game. It's entertainment. You should, if you're good looking, in good shape, and make a lot of money, you should be obnoxious. You just should be.
Okay, so explain to me.
In that kind of shape, I'd walk around without a shirt all the time.
Okay, so explain to me why Larry Fitzgerald is the polar opposite, where he looks like that. He could do that too. He could walk around without a shirt if he wanted to, but he doesn't. He plays the game the right way, is respected by everybody to another level.
Don't be the get off the yard guy. That's the difference between Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron. Right?
Okay, explain that. Say it again. Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron. Kobe and Jordan are like over the top, gotta have the ball, they'll kill you. They're like, oh, the killer mentality. And then you have LeBron, who's probably the best athlete that's been on the planet for forever. Well, he's not as good. The guy goes to the finals almost every year except for last year. Right.
It's just different. It's just different perspectives of what you're looking at. You got the same being in all these different bodies, but you have different attitudes of those guys. And you think, like, who's one of the people like Michael Jordan's the greatest player to ever live. I'm like, okay, I think Kareem was the greatest player. Like, he won championships everywhere. He does on every level. He was unstoppable.
Right.
The all-time scoring leader in history. And he didn't have the ball every time he came down the court. Someone had to give it to him.
Right. Yeah.
That to me is like the greatest player. But no, Jordan was. He was a killer. I'm like, okay, you guys go with that. So it's just different people. And I know Jordan very well, but it's just different people, different things. You have to understand that because someone's explosive, because someone's excited, it's kind of like how baseball has moved away from, it's just, it's an unwritten rule to, like, the bat flip is becoming exciting. Right?
Well,
before, if you got a bat flip, people would throw at you. Now you have a bat flip, It's like, where did you rank on the bat flip meter? Like, so everything evolves. Just got to stick with it.
Yeah.
Well, and every super dynamic receiver over history has been super dynamic, and you kind of grew into it from Billy White Shoes Johnson to Lynn Swann. One guy's quiet, graceful. One guy's dancing in the end zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No.
It's just the way it is. Like Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin.
Right. Both effective, two different types of personalities. Although, do you put Michael and T.O. and Odell in the same sentence? Because I kind of don't. Because I still look at Michael that he was just as brash as those two other guys. But Michael, I thought, still took the team game with him every single time. That, he wanted the ball, but he was going to sell out for his team overall, even if he didn't get the ball.
Michael was much worse than T.O. and Odell. If they were just winning.
Really?
They were just winning Super Bowls.
Okay. All right. So
they're just apex predators, and they want to play a certain way. You just got to let them play. You just got to be able to, like I said, you want to be able to deal with personalities. That's a personality.
Apex predators. That's a freaking good line, dude. That was fantastic. Howard Cross joining us. Follow him on Twitter at HowardCross87. You did mention social media. How active are you nowadays on social media?
I try to be slightly active. I do mostly to keep my kids in eyesight because they're away at school. And they know that if I post something or if I see them posting something, I'll comment or something. But there's so many different avenues and so many different ways to get on. It's crazy, from Snapchat to Instagram to Twitter to other different things that I'm not even up with. But I try to keep as close to them as possible. As far as really, really being involved, I could care less what someone says. Unfortunately,
right?
You don't make me money. You don't take any money from me, so I don't have to really deal with you. I try not to post anything that's too, in my mind, controversial. And even when I really think that something needs to be said, I kind of lay back and just let it go.
I don't blame you, man. You're better off doing it that way. Howard, forgive me for not, I guess, doing my homework and looking this up. You said your kids. Do you have a son, and does he play football? Or even if he doesn't, did he want to play football? Would you let him play football? Considering everything we know now, I know so many football players that do not want, and not that they tell their kid not to play, but they kind of indirectly lead them in other directions is kind of what they're doing. So how do you play that game if you've gotten to that point with your son?
My son was highly recruited to football. He plays football at Notre Dame. He's a freshman.
Ah, okay. See, I did not know that. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
okay. What does he play? Does he play tight end?
No, it's a D tackle.
Okay, D tackle. Okay, I got to look it up. Okay. All right. I did not know that. Okay. All right. So how were you about that?
I think that I probably had more concussions growing up on the farm, falling out of trees, with that stupid bike ramp that we tried to build and jump every time that never worked. Or trying to jump over whatever obstacle that a kid can think of than I ever did playing football. So I think that some of that's a little cooked. I think there are a lot of contributing factors to it that we don't discuss, and that's fair. And I think that there are some players that actually do need help, and it would be nice if they could actually get help. But there are so many other people that are piling on that it kind of thins out the actual view of what it really should be.
But you are handling it different, right? Because it was bell ring and all, they rung your bell, and how many fingers get your ass back out there. Now we handle it different, right?
Again, that's not me. That's the medical staff, because of what's been said, what's being done, what people believe, and what everything else. So I'm all aboard for healthy and being safe. I'm all for it. Again, I just think that's just part of it. We risk a lot to get a lot.
All right.
Bet big to get big. You bet big to win big.
Right. No, I got you.
I'm not one of these guys that sits around and says you know, if I'm sending someone off to the Marines or to whatever, and then something happens to them, that, oh my God, how could that happen? No one says anything. But if I'm making millions of dollars and something happens, it's like, oh, we got to help these guys. That's kind of sideways.
Right. I'm with you. I'm with you.
All right. It's just sideways. It's not a good conversation.
Something that's amazing right now in the NFL and proving me wrong, because I don't believe that, and I still think long-term this is not going to last, but I don't believe that a running back can run 200 times and stay healthy every season. What Lamar Jackson is doing, it's a slice of old football from the wishbone days, and then you throw in the pass and the modern day game. It's innovative. It's genius on Baltimore's part. It's gutsy in every way, shape, and form, considering how physical and brutal this game is that you played. How amazed are you that it's working the way it is with Lamar?
So it's very simple. I think that you're missing out on the point that they've changed the rules drastically, too. You just can't go up and blow a guy up, right? So, like, even as a running back, they're hitting him as he's going towards the sideline. So it's not like they can go wow out and just like hit him. He's not running down the middle of the field for a hit, and when he does, he jukes you out.
Right.
And he's not a Cam Newton or an Andrew Luck where he's so big and powerful that he thinks he can lower his shoulder on you. He knows that I got to get down and get out of the way.
Right. He's Barry Sanders. He's Barry Sanders. He's a QB with Barry Sanders moves.
Yeah, he understands the game. He understands the danger of the game. And it doesn't. And it's not that the hits are bigger. It's just that you can't, without the practice, you just can't take them. So it's just different.
Okay.
You'll be fine for a long time.
Yeah, the way you phrased it about changing the rules, I never really looked at it that way. I just look at how brutal it is. Yeah. And you're right, he's not Cam.
Troy Aikman was what we like to call it, almost an option quarterback coming out of Oklahoma going to UCLA. I think Dallas ran the option maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and the guys were like, okay, we hit him. If he pitches it or not, just hit him.
Right.
They changed that. You can't just do that anymore. You can't just go tee off on a QB. It's like he's the face of the franchise, the NFL, blah, blah, blah. You have to understand that you just can't go hit those guys. So if you can't just go hit them, what's the next answer? Then if he's gifted enough and athletic enough, then he's going to make some plays.
Yeah, and he's certainly making plays. All right, so what's the prediction, Howard? Do your Giants win or do my Dolphins win? Who gets it done on Sunday?
Well, both teams are struggling. To be polite, I think the Dolphins have a little more, I would say, juice in the tank.
Okay.
I think that because, and there's nothing against the Giants, I just think that it was very, very, very public that they were getting rid of, cutting down, and getting rid of all these different guys, and guys wanted to leave, and there was a mass exodus from Miami. But now, politely, the coach there has the guys who are there who want to play and try to make it.
Right.
And they get it.
I agree.
And they're doing everything. They're doing everything within their power. They may not have the greatest of abilities, but they're doing everything within their power to make it. On the Giants side of the ball, they haven't gotten to that point yet. Right. And they're going to have to get there in order to start to have some kind of progress and something positive going on. And they know that. And they have high expectations, but they just don't have the whatever it is that they need, whether it's coaching, whether it's attitude, whatever it is, they just don't have it yet. So that's the problem.
So basically what you're saying is it's a word we throw around really loosely, but I know it exists because I see it with the Miami Heat and Pat Riley. It's called culture. There is a culture in place. So what you're telling me is that Brian Flores has taken a step closer to having the culture he wants than Pat Shurmur has with New York.
I think that in the New York media and the way the Pat has been received and how he's looked at, I think players are looking at that and reading all of that. I think that Coach Flores has the advantage of being in Miami where the team's tanking, the team's doing whatever. So he has that it's us against the world conversation.
Right.
right?
Okay.
And that's the conversation that he's able to echo throughout his locker room and throughout the building.
Galvanize.
We can play with whoever they left us. It's our team. The Giants don't have that kind of speech to give. It's just they didn't get rid of everybody. They're trying to win. We're gonna win while we're rebuilding kind of conversation.
Right.
It's just not the same conversation, and it's hard to sell that to the media, to the fans, to everyone. It's just hard. Where this guy has he has the ultimate disrespect card to play, and this is all we have left.
Right.
It's kind of you have to give respect for that.
Yeah,
I know people don't believe that, but that's a big part of it.
And let's be honest, the Dolphins are a bunch of young guys. They're all hungry, unproven. They all want to be there because this is their opportunity. Whereas the Giants have a whole bunch of veterans, and everybody's got a different agenda there at that point in their careers and everything going on. The Dolphins are a little bit more
to their agent about their next move,
exactly.
What's happening after this, blah blah blah. So that's part of it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No offense to them. No offense to any part of any group of them, but that's it's evident. They can see it themselves, so they just have to figure it out.
Good stuff as always. Howard Cross. Follow him on Twitter at HowardCross87, but don't expect him to get crazy on social media. Howard, as always, my man. Thank you for taking some time, man. Appreciate it big time.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
See you later. Bye.
There you go. The great Howard Cross, man. Good stuff there. I did not know his son starts at defensive tackle for Notre Dame. How about that?
My dad loves his son.
Yeah, there you go.
The Notre Dame-ness of him.
Yeah, there you go. So I had no idea. Now we'll pay attention a little bit extra there and check it out. He's a freshman, too, playing in Notre Dame. So that's impressive. Did not know that.
As a freshman that started Notre Dame,
that was a great conversation, man. Yeah. That was fun, man. That was really, really good. He always is. He's an interesting cat. That's why I like having him on.